The Vedas meant for humanity, not just Hindus, a journey into the universal knowledge hidden behind an ancient civilization. When most people hear the word Vedas, they immediately think of religion. They think Hinduism, ancient India, rituals, gods, chanting. But what if this assumption itself is the misunderstanding? What if the Vedas were never meant to belong to a religion? What if they were never meant to belong to a country, culture, or identity? What if they were meant to belong to human consciousness itself? This question changes everything. Because the moment knowledge becomes owned by a group, it stops being universal. And the moment wisdom becomes identity, it stops being truth. So the real question is not, are the Vedas Hindu? The real question is, were the Vedas ever meant to be religious at all? One of the most misunderstood facts in spiritual history is this: Hinduism did not create the Vedas. The Vedas existed before Hinduism had a name. The word Hindu itself came much later, derived from the river Sindhu. It was a geographical label, not a spiritual one. The Vedas were composed in a time when there was no organized religion, no temples as we know them, no religious identity, no conversion ideology, no political theology. The people who preserved the Vedas did not call themselves Hindus. They called themselves rishis, seers, not believers, not followers, not priests, observers. This is one of the most shocking truths. The Vedas do not teach worship in the modern sense. There is no demand for blind faith, no command to surrender belief, no threat of punishment, no promise of heaven. Instead, the Vedas focus on observation, inquiry, awareness, inner discipline, understanding reality. The word Deva in the Vedas does not mean God, as in a deity to be worshipped. It means a principle of nature. Agni is not a god. It is fire, energy, transformation. Vayu is not a god. It is movement, breath, life force. Indra is not a god. It is perception, power, awareness. These were not divine beings in the sky. They were forces within existence. And more importantly, forces within the human being. The Vedas are written in the language of patterns, not commands. They speak in cycles, not rules, processes, not morals, energies, not personalities. Why? Because the universe itself functions this way. The sun does not follow commandments. The ocean does not obey laws. The body does not consult scripture. Everything follows natural order. The Vedas were an attempt to understand that order, not to control it, not to worship it, but to align with it. This is why the Vedas speak more about rhythm, balance, harmony, awareness, consciousness, than about sin or salvation. One of the most revolutionary aspects of the Vedas is this: they treat the human mind as the central universe, not the stars, not the heavens, not the gods, the mind. Because the Vedic seers understood something modern science is only now realizing: reality is filtered through consciousness. You do not experience the world directly. You experience your interpretation of it. The Vedas dissect the mind into layers: manas, sensory mind; buddhi, intellect; ahamkara, ego; chitta, memory. This is not philosophy. This is cognitive science. They understood that suffering does not come from events. It comes from interpretation, and interpretation can be trained. The Vedas never speak to a race. They never speak to a nationality. They never speak to a religion. They speak to human experience. Breath, fear, desire, awareness, death, silence. These are not Hindu experiences. They are human experiences. A person in Africa breathes the same way as one in India. A person in Europe feels fear the same way as one in Asia. A person in America seeks meaning the same way as someone in ancient Bharat. The Vedas address what is universal, not cultural, not regional, not historical. That is why their relevance has never faded. There is something the Vedas never attempt to do: convert. They do not say, this is the only truth, this is the only path, this is the only God. Instead they say, truth is vast, paths are many, understanding is personal. This is why Hinduism historically never spread by force, because the Vedas were not trying to build followers. They were trying to cultivate awareness. And awareness cannot be forced. Modern science is now rediscovering what the Vedas hinted at. The universe is vibration. Matter is energy. Observation changes reality. Consciousness plays a role in existence. Time is not absolute. Everything is interconnected. The difference is, science uses instruments. The Vedas used inner observation. Different tools, same inquiry. This is why quantum physicists today sound strangely similar to ancient sages. Not because science copied the Vedas, but because truth reveals itself to those who look deeply enough. The Vedas never promised heaven. They promised freedom from ignorance. They understood, you can live in heaven and still suffer. You can live in hardship and still be free. Freedom, in the Vedic sense, is freedom from illusion, freedom from fear, freedom from compulsive desire, freedom from false identity. This freedom is called moksha. Not a place, not a reward, a state of clarity. The biggest misunderstanding is this: people think the Vedas are about God. They are not. They are about consciousness. God in the Vedas is not a being, it is a principle, a presence, an intelligence that flows through everything. The Vedas are not asking you to worship this intelligence. They are asking you to realize you are part of it. In a world filled with anxiety, identity crises, meaninglessness, mental overload, spiritual confusion, the Vedas offer something rare: clarity, not answers, not beliefs, but a way of seeing. They teach how to observe without attachment, how to live without inner conflict, how to act without ego, how to exist without fear. This is not religion. This is psychological freedom. The Vedas do not belong to Hindus. They do not belong to India. They do not belong to history. They belong to human consciousness. They belong to anyone who asks, who am I? Why do I suffer? What is real? What is beyond thought? They were not written to create followers. They were written to awaken explorers. And perhaps that is why they have survived for thousands of years. Because truth does not need protection. It only needs recognition. The Vedas were never meant to be believed. They were meant to be understood. And once understood, you realize something profound. They were never speaking to Hindus. They were speaking to humanity itself.